you go. Now, how would you feel if I asked you guys, or if I told you guys that Florida is technically not as hot as it feels? Now, there's two main reasons as to why Florida is technically not as hot as it feels, and then there's one reason I have that proves statistical data as to why Florida does not fluctuate that much in temperature. Now, the first reason is the statistical data that I have provided. Now, according to MiamiTemperatures.com, Florida, or South Florida, only gets to a high of 84 degrees on average and a low of 70 degrees. So that's only a 14-degree difference in fluctuation throughout the entire year. Now, that statistical data proves that Florida does not get as hot as most climate places that have the same amount or the same climate as South Florida. The second reason that I have is the warm waters that surround Florida. Now, the Gulf of Mexico and the Atlantic Ocean come from tropical areas, and the currents bring these warm tropical waters next to Florida's coast, so we're constantly surrounded by warm water. This warm water creates a large amount of precipitation, and this precipitation then flows over inland, and it creates much rain and a lot of saturation over the land, and this land creates a lot of humidity. Now, the humidity is the second or the third main reason that I have. Now, humidity is the biggest factor when it comes to how Florida feels hotter than it actually is. The reason being, and this is according to the Miami Herald, as to why is Florida so hot when it really isn't. They say that Florida is much hotter, or South Florida is much hotter than it feels because of the humidity. Now, the reason why the humidity causes this extra heat, so-called pseudo heat, is the reason is because your sweat cannot evaporate. Now, the sweat is supposed to create a homeostasis within your body. It's supposed to have your body at 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit constantly. So because that's what your body is supposed to be at. So what it does is it sweat, and when you sweat, it creates a bead of water on your skin that soaks up some of the heat that's within your skin. Now, when this evaporates, it completely removes all the heat, or not all the heat, but it takes away some of the heat slowly but surely. So when there's a lot of humidity in the air, there's no room for this sweat to evaporate because the air is already full of too much water. That's why when you have these days that are like 70 and 80 degrees, humidity, you feel very, very uncomfortable because when you're sweating, your body's not releasing the heat that it needs to so that it can remain at that 98.6 degree Fahrenheit homeostasis. So that causes a lot of problems, and that's why, South Florida always feels much warmer than it actually is. Now, looking back at all the 3 points that I've stated, how would you feel if I asked you the question of, do you think Florida is as hot as it feels? Do you really think that with 84 degree high temps and 70 degree low temps and warm waters that create humidity, and the humidity that keeps your heat within your body is the cause of this extra heat? Well, I believe that the next time that you go outside and the next time that you're sweating and it's very humid outside, you'll realize the facts that I've just said, because you'll experience it firsthand as to why the sun is not the cause of the major heat in South Florida, but the humidity, the warm waters, and the less temperature fluctuations is the main cause as to why Florida feels much hotter than it actually is. Thank you. And here is everybody.